Hi, I'm Peter Goff, a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. On a cold Wisconsin morning this past January, I climbed into my '98 Toyota Corolla ready to start my day. My turn of the key produced nothing more than an awkward silence as I glared at the steering wheel. We had played this game before. Nonetheless, I turned the key a few more times before I resigned myself to grabbing the jumper cables and pulling my wife's car beside mine. Hoods opened and cables attached, I turned on my wife's car before walking back to my tired Corolla. I turned the key and nothing. I rechecked the cables and tried again, but the results were painfully consistent. Ultimately, I had the beast towed down to Don's Auto, where Don informed me that my alternator was shot. And Don, being the exemplary mechanic that he is, had my car up and running in less than 3 coffees' time. Now, I relate this story because the challenges facing the education labor market are not entirely dissimilar from the challenge I faced this past January. I had a problem. My car wouldn't start. And I had some solutions that could be used to address that problem. Turning the key, jumping the battery. But my solution failed because I didn't know what was causing the problem. I didn't know the underlying mechanism. Only after the cause of the problem was identified was I, or rather Don, able to identify a solution to solve that problem. In education, we have a robust body of research that identifies problems related to labor dynamics. Some of these problems include the non-uniform distribution of teachers, high turnover rates, and weak hiring systems, all of which disproportionately impact high poverty and blue-collar students. We also have a sizable body of research on potential solutions to labor market problems, such as loan forgiveness, applicant screeners, and alternative certification. The challenge in education, just as it was for me and my Toyota, is to correctly identify the mechanism that is causing the problem. And only with a solid understanding of the mechanism can we select the optimal solution. Let's look at a specific example in education. Schools serving poor and minority students have been notoriously difficult to staff. Teachers at these schools tend to have fewer advanced degrees, fewer years of experience, and weaker content knowledge. That's a problem. One strategy to improve the quality of teachers in these schools is to offer staffing bonuses, essentially hazard pay, in the hopes of attracting stronger candidates. That strategy, much like my using jumper cables when my car wouldn't start, may or may not solve the problem. And to understand why, we need to understand the mechanism. If the mechanism causing the problem lies primarily with the labor supply, where exceptional teachers tend to avoid applying to challenging schools, then a signing bonus may help the school attract high-quality educators. However, if the problem lies with labor demand, where exceptional teachers have applied to the vacancies, but the bureaucracy has prevented schools from making a timely offer, the organization lacked a system to facilitate the identification of exceptional candidates, or the school leadership is responding to incentives that disadvantages the hiring of strong teachers. In all those cases, a signing bonus may change who applies, but is unlikely to change who is hired. And as a result, the signing bonuses will drain the district of valuable resources without solving the problem. Now, emphasizing the importance of knowing the mechanism appears to be an obvious, nearly self-evident truth. And yet, if this is the case, why do we see relatively little research pointed in this direction? The asymmetric massing of research on the part of problem and solution relative to the mechanism is at least in part a product of circumstance. In labor markets, the mechanism underlying many of the problems can often be traced back to the selection phenomena. In cases involving the movement of people within and among organizations, the selection processes are quite complex. In the example of teacher hiring, a teacher selects from amongst vacancies to submit their applications. Schools then select from amongst these applicants to extend interview offers. A subset of applicants now select from amongst interview offers before choice swings back to the schools as they evaluate interviewees and extend employment offers. And then the final choice lies with the set of candidates who have received offers. The waters are muddied even further when we consider that these choices are made in real time, with additional vacancies opening and offers being made amongst teachers and schools from across the entire labor market. Now, setting aside the complex cascade of sorting and selection, researching these issues is further confounded by the availability and uniformity of data. Staffing data, which is commonly used in research that identifies the scope and severity of problems, is often readily available. Now, in contrast, the data required to investigate the mechanisms is either difficult to find or challenging to collect, or both. As a result, we have substantially better understanding of the problems and solutions, largely because these domains are comparatively easier to examine. Albert Einstein once said, "Not everything that can be measured matters, and not everything that matters can be measured." If we want to start solving these deep and systematic labor market challenges, we need to find ways to measure the things that matter, the mechanisms underlying the problems. This video is the first in a series of videos by CPRE's Knowledge Hub designed to bring researchers, policymakers, and practitioners together to engage around these pressing problems in education. This series will focus around problems in the labor market, the mechanisms that cause those problems, and the solutions to remedy the problems. In this series, we'll hear from top researchers in the field engaged in research on labor market problems, mechanisms, and solutions. We'll also hear from eminent state and district leaders that have tackled these challenges head-on.